Hi, Khanh. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's been a while.
It's been a while.
Well, thanks for taking the time to meet with me.
Of course, my pleasure.
Great. So, welcome, Khanh. She's a data scientist at Delta Airlines. Delta Airlines is one of the United States' major airlines and the oldest operating in the country. I didn't know that. It serves 52 countries on 6 continents. So, you're a data scientist at Delta Airlines. What are your main responsibilities, and what kinds of projects are you actually working on?
Yeah. Just adding a little bit on that, 2025, we celebrate 100 years in operation. So, which is
Oh,
major. Um, for a data scientist at Delta Airlines, it's literally a mix of everything. I would say analytics, report, KPI, helping business, modeling, and also a little bit of data engineering as well. Because I'm in the operation space where I work with stakeholders who are pilots, flight attendants, dispatcher who do fuel. So like talking to a lot of different business stakeholder, and literally the data is everywhere. So the major task of us is to gathering all of the information needed either for report, for KPI, or for modeling. And it's like cross different function. So talk to a lot of business stakeholders, get them buy-in into the business modeling, and eventually, hopefully, to get that model deployed to the production.
oh, great. So you're working in the operations space. So you speak to stakeholders directly and you learn about their needs and you work with them directly on these projects?
Yes, yes. So I have stakeholders as pilots. I have stakeholder as those who schedule pilot schedule, and we just try to make their job easier.
Tell me about your team. Are you part of a larger team? Do you manage the team? And what are the other roles on the team?
Yeah, I'm part of a larger team. We have sister team, other team member as a data engineer. We also in the space we have software engineer all sit together, and then we have business also in the same floor. For example, like if I want to ask a scheduler or if I want to ask a pilot pay people, I just need to like turn around and talk to them. So like the setup of the team is very dynamic, and it helped me to emerge into the business.
Interesting. So are you managing the team?
No, I'm not. I
Okay.
am one of the IC. We do have a program for the co-op. So we do work directly with co-op, give them tasks, help them to get there.
So what does the process look like? So you're working with a pilot, you're working at with somebody who's doing scheduling. Like, how do they get access to you to initiate a project? Analytics, KPIs, modeling, data engineering. What's the process?
Yes. So we do have like funding, like capital funding for every year. They plan ahead of time. Like for example, this year, what is going to be the project? What is the need of the business? It's going like top down from the CEO. Like they, for example, they want to cut the costs or they want to increase number of pilots hiring, for example. So that is the guidance for the entire year. And then from that, they divided the project based on the team. So, for example, next year I'll be immersed into crew because crew is the expensive resources of an airline. Then from that, we have our project, and from that, we know our business stakeholder, we know who we will be working with. Either I am approach them or they approach me first, but usually I will be the one who approach them after I have a set of like knowledge through my EDA, through my analytics, and then I will bring that to them to confirm my findings and how to learn more about their business insight.
So generally, what you're saying is you know the schedule for like the next year. You know all the projects that are on the horizon.
I do, yes.
And then are you working alone on these projects or does it depend on the project?
Yeah, it depends very on the project. So I can give you an example where I have to work. with like a lot of different people. That is where we try to predict the taxi out time. Just a little bit of information. Taxi out is when your flight push back from the gate and then taxi to the runway. That project, it sounds like very simple, but that is involve a lot of different like components. I had to work with the in-house meteorologist team. They have like a real-time weather forecasting. So like
Oh,
working with them, getting the real-time weather, because this when you're on the runway, things can happen like rapidly. And then working with the fuel team, because this involve like fuel, working with the DE team to get to the real-time data pooling, working with software engineer to eventually deploy it on production, because this have like multiple components where I'm like piecing all together, but then passing all to them to get into the cloud. So that project, I work with like multiple stakeholders. Then for the pilot, on the pilot side, I'm a solo scientist there. I work with my business stakeholder on the cruise scheduling to understand what's happening, why is create demand, why do we need more pilots in this case. And then I do the forecasting with the review of my team and then bring that to the business stakeholder, get them buy-in.
I see. Interesting. So this taxi out time project, what are you actually predicting? Is it a single time when the flight is going to take off?
No, it's an increasement of the time. So for
Oh,
example, like 15 minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, close up taxi time. So near real time prediction. We do it on a flight level. So that's where it gets interesting because let's say if you fly out from New York, you
yeah.
know that significantly delayed from New York compared to Atlanta, although the volume at Atlanta is way higher than New York. But because of the way that the airport set up the runway, the parallel runway is different from the cross runway. So it's a lot of interesting component nuance to that model.
But who is utilizing this taxi out time information? Passengers, pilots, everybody?
I would say everybody, since if you taxi delay 2 hours, it will affect your the entire ETA.
Yeah,
You will get to your final destination 2 hours late. And then from that, we will potentially alert the customer at the destination who waiting for the same aircraft to keep going. So they will be like 2 hours delayed. Uh,
right.
or the pilot, they would like to know, in real time, hey, this is not going to be your runway, and you are queuing, say, number 10 out of 50 people waiting to take off. Or the dispatcher will wanted to know this. If we tell them, hey, you will be or maybe 2 hours late and you may stuck on the runway, that where they want to put more fuel into it.
Okay. Can you talk about some of the technologies you're using for this project or some other project?
Yeah. Um, Anything that you can think of about like scikit-learn, EDA visualization, Matplotlib, Seaborn, um, visualization tools such as Power BI, Tableau, um, deploy on cloud via AWS, SageMaker notebook, Jupyter notebook, and then trigger the alert using Lambda or any glue job, writing the data in real time to S3, any ETL pipeline. So yeah.
Wow, there's a lot there. Okay, let's unpack that a little bit. So, scikit-learn, matplotlib, seaborn, these are Python libraries that you're using for data science approaches and also data visualization. Why are you using Power BI and Tableau?
Yes. So Power BI and Tableau, it's a mix of EDA as well. So like if I would like to have some quick EDA, pretty crap to show to the stakeholder, I would prefer like Tableau. And then Power BI is when we already have a matrix for the model. So we deploy the model in real time, and then we see, for example, the accuracy, AUC, ROC curve, and all of that using Power BI to send out a report to stakeholder and inform them or inform us as well if we need to retrain the model again.
Did you develop this whole pipeline for this project, or was this already in place when you started?
I designed the whole pipeline, including like taking the features, what kind of features do we use, run in model, put in the model on like inference, getting the real-time data, and then monitoring it.
And you're using a number of AWS services. Is Delta using AWS for a lot of data science projects? Does it depend on the project? How did you, I guess, land on using like AWS, specifically SageMaker? You're also using S3, using Lambda for alerts. How did that happen?
Yeah, it depends on the projects. I know a lot of team they use AWS for different purposes. Like DE team use AWS to orchestrate their job to database, and then writing automate job. And then another team also develop model, but they don't have the need to get into the production. So all the model are in VS Code or in their local machine only for this taxi out project because a lot of people are using it.
Hmm.
That's why we're deploying where everyone can access. That's why like you see Lambda, S3 bucket, and all of the alert emailing to the stakeholders.
Tell me about SageMaker and Lambda. What is SageMaker? I know a bit about SageMaker, but tell us what it is, how are you using it? And then also, what is Lambda?
Yes. So it's similar to Jupyter Notebook,
Hmm.
but it's just host on cloud. Then I think it's have like an easy to attack to it, and
Hmm.
then you can utilize the computation there in AWS. If you want to use GPU, you can use TPU too. You can change core. You can do like 16 core, make it faster, run deep learning or AI in SageMaker. Lambda is kind of like a function where you can schedule and make it run based on your need. For example, if I have the KPI every month and I want to send my KPI daily, let's say daily, to my business stakeholder, instead of me going to pull data and then put it into a nice table or an Excel file and then copy that table to my Outlook and then send it out, everything can be done in Lambda. So like define a function to connect to database, get the data, put it into nice, clear table, connect to Outlook, and then send it out.
So you write a function in Lambda, it
Mhm.
pulls some data from a database, and then what happens next? It's formatting that information in a particular way. It's putting it into an S3 bucket. How does it then make its way to an email and then it's sent to stakeholders?
Yeah, you can define, you can get a table and you can write a table into a like your database, and then you can connect to your Outlook email, and then there's a function to send out. So you can
Oh.
define everything through the Lambda.
And is this something that's complete, this whole process, is this completely automated, or do you decide, okay, today I'm going to send out an email and you can essentially click a button and it happens? Or is this on a schedule?
It's on the schedule.
Okay.
It's run. It's on the schedule. And then I think this is a complete automate job. Just depend on like if we wanted to retrain the model, that's where human feedback come in, and manually looking at the metric and say this time let's look at the metric. If it dropped under a certain threshold, let's go ahead and retrain the model. So for that retrain model, I don't think we automated yet, so we still have to go in and see, but then the entire process is automated.
Interesting. And then where is the data stored? In an S3 bucket or somewhere else within AWS?
Yeah, it's a store in S3.
Oh, okay. That's the most scalable and probably cheapest way to do that, right?
Yeah, yeah. We have also. data lake as well,
Mhm.
but mostly we just use Tableau data and then S3 bucket.
Okay, great. Can you talk about a typical day at work? First of all, are you hybrid or remote? Or are you in the office?
I'm hybrid.
Okay.
2 days at home, 3 days at work.
Actually, where are you? I don't even know where you are.
I'm in Atlanta, Georgia.
Oh, okay, you're in Atlanta. Okay.
Yes, yes.
I didn't, know if you're in another office. Okay, and then can you talk about a typical day in the office?
Yeah. Um, I usually utilize my time in the office to talk to different people, business stakeholder, get their opinion on the data set. For example, like yesterday, Friday, I was in the office. Um, so I have a project that forecast the 365 days ahead for
Oh,
2025. It's a long horizontal
yeah.
like casting, and all of the real-time information basically not happening because we don't really know what weather gonna be like in the next year. That is too far out. So then like gathering all the information that I have, talk to them and see what else can I use for my model. Then once I get the information, then now the next question is where to get the data. Where's the data live? Like I never worked with that table before. Then it involved multiple people in that process. I always joke that I know a guy who know a guy. So so
Yeah.
then we were like talking to different people, asking them, how do I use this data? What is the pitfalls of using the data? Any filter that I need to apply? Then, the whole day involving like pulling data, SQLing, validating the data to see if this makes sense.
So it sounds like if you're meeting with a stakeholder and they're interested in pulling in some type of additional data into your model slash pipeline, are there ever challenges with where to find that data and also getting access to it? Not only where to find it, but getting access to it, finding the right people within the organization that can provide access to that data?
Yes. So I don't have the I don't have troubling access to the data since everything is living the same, like, the big one. So I have one service account or like my account even can access to the data. But then the trouble is that it's live basically everywhere. So you gotta talk to like multiple different people to find the need and also multiple data set give you the same information, but it's actually not. So then you have to like talk to them and see the use case of their data set.
So it's not so much access, technically how to access the data, it's where to find it.
Yes.
Okay, interesting. And typically, is everything in AWS?
No,
Okay.
no. We adopt AWS like 2 years ago.
Okay.
I think some teams still in the process of transferring everything to AWS, but we still have a lot of local database as well.
Oh, okay. Is that What are the challenges with that? So let's say you have to access data from with some other source. It's not an AWS, some other database somewhere else. Are you then bringing the data? Is, for instance, this project, are you bringing it into your pipeline? Meaning, like, are you bringing it into AWS dynamically, one time kind of transfer? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, is it's a layer on top of layer to pull the data.
Yeah.
Because like, let's say if everything live in the same database, cool, you can just query it. But then everything is like different database, and
Yeah.
challenge is one need to happen after another. So then that's where from the beginning I told I work a little bit of data engineer because of that. Like you need to pull data from different sources and then like stitch them together and
Yeah.
orchestrate them together. Yeah.
Okay, so you're not because the data is ending up in this other data source through some other system. So you're dynamically pulling the data from that. You're not going to actually transfer the data to your pipeline or AWS, whatever it is, and then have to do that. on a regular basis. You're just dynamically querying this other data source and orchestrating it and bringing it into your pipeline.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Tell me how you got here. So, what initially sparked your interest in engineering broadly? I know you have a kind of varied background, but then also specifically, what's been your journey into data science and AI specifically?
Yes. I let me back up a little bit. On my freshman year, I am in business degree. So basically, I'm a non-technical person. Somehow, I got into Microsoft Student Partner Program where I sat with multiple people with like technical backgrounds. And
So, so you were going for a business degree.
yes,
What did you want to do with that degree?
I always wanted to have my own startup. That's still my
Oh,
goal.
okay.
That's still my goal. I am working toward it. I hopefully in the near future. So then that I sat in the room with multiple people with their technical background, their IT. I think it's 2016 that where Microsoft Azure is still on like, not very popular, I would
Hmm.
say. And then we as students to get access to AWS Azure, sorry, not AWS, Microsoft gonna be really mad.
I'll edit
Microsoft
that. I'm going to edit that out later.
Microsoft Azure. Then yeah, we go into different university and then like introduce to student where I learned how to do demo to host a web app through AWS Microsoft Azure. Then I also learned a bit of machine learning, heard about that term since 2016.
Mhm.
People applying different technique to their startup. I joined Imagine Cup competition where a lot of people have their startup got funding. So I I that's where the interest came. I just love to see and to build things. Um, but then the courage was when I worked as a data analyst for almost 2 years and got promoted to data analytics manager. During that time, there's a story when we were in retail and wholesale company, and that time was 2020 when the COVID shortage happened.
Mhm.
Uh, with our intuition, our gut feeling, we was like, people not gonna buy. We're not gonna store a lot of like supply things because it's COVID. People are not gonna buy. But then when I do the forecasting for the next quarter, the signal is going up for like the buying power.
Mm.
And also at the same time, I talked to a lot of like our supplier, and then we got the hint from them saying, hey, things gonna be very slow. We start seeing the signal of getting the merchandise. If you guys want better, like order it now or else later we cannot give you what you want. So I brought it up to the leadership team. Some has gut feeling and say we may not gonna buy a lot because this is COVID. Who's going to buy stuff?
Yeah.
And I basically showing them, this is a signal from the data. You will see the trend is going up, giving that now is the shortage coming. So why don't we just get the top 50, 100 best sellers store in there for the next quarter? It's best seller item, no matter how it's going to go. It doesn't
Yeah.
have to have the storage in our warehouse. And then we make that decision very quick, get everything, and basically make the only supplier within North Florida or Florida that have the top item bestseller on hands during the shortage. Then that where I figured out, well, this is the impact of the business using analytics, data science, and that where I have my courage to get back to school.
Is that an example of data-driven decision making
Yes.
in its truest form?
Yes.
So you have an MBA, you went back to school, you got a master's in data science and AI. How do you think that this combination of technical education versus business education, combination of the two, shapes your current approach to work and problem solving?
Yes, I think it's a great combination because I always say I speak business. I was there in that position as a non-technical person, and when I heard about all the term like machine learning, decision tree, random forest, my mind was like, "Oh, what is that?"
Yeah.
Like, things my language I don't understand.
Yeah.
So I was there. I understand that technical term is almost impossible to communicate with stakeholders. And then now I'm in the technical space where I understand what is random forest, what is decision tree. Now bring it to the business stakeholder. So instead of talking like explaining to them what decision tree, what then
Yeah.
random forest, I will be using this model. It will save you roughly $2 million in fueling for the next quarter or the next year. So value management, giving them the dollar, and then after that value, this is how the model gonna help. It make them more interesting in the model, buy in into the model instead of just top down like, hey, this is my random forest,
Right.
it's cheap 99 accuracy, it's not gonna work.
So you're really able to talk to different audiences.
Yes,
That's one of the biggest benefits. And you're able to talk about the impact of the technical side to the business stakeholders.
yes, yes,
In a lot of cases, that's translating it to cost savings.
correct.
I see you worked as a research assistant at Penn for the World Wellbeing Project. What is that project? What kind of work did you do?
Yes, so we trying to deploy a chatbot for different audiences and hopefully try to screen the early depression detection for a different group. Um, that chatbot right now is in production and we're trying to apply for fundings in order to get into the users. Um, the model that we use are basically AI on top of AI. So for example, it is a um, detection where to see if a customer or the user directly or indirectly answer the questions. So let's say if I ask you, how was your day so far? And then you just talk about like, I don't know, politics or different things, the AI will detect. And then um, it's had a function where you can like record and talk to the chatbot, and then that record will be a speech to text model, then the model processing it, and then we have another layer text to speech model to get the chatbot to talk to you. So that is like a two-way of like talking just to try to stimulate the process when you talk to a therapist.
Okay, so the first AI layer, if you will, is detecting what I'm talking about.
Yes.
And so, if the goal is to learn about how I'm feeling, but I'm
Mhm.
talking about, like you said, politics or something that might be unrelated, could be related,
Yeah.
right? Because it's going to affect how I feel.
Mhm.
But technically, what I'm talking about is not really relevant. How does it detect that? And what is the kind of next step? Like to tell me, no, no, I want to know how you're feeling.
Yeah, so there's a score based on entailment neutral, or like there's an entailment in that model. So then it detects the score. If the score lower or lower than a certain threshold that we set, it will pop up a like a alert, not alert, but like
Mm.
a respond to the user, like say, hey, we don't think you like directly answer the question, would you mind answer it again, and then it pop up the question again.
Okay. And so then what happens? Let's say, okay, then I start talking about how I'm really feeling,
Yeah.
what I'm thinking about, how it makes me feel. What does it then do with that information?
Yes. So we let GPT chime in to make it like a conversation
Okay.
on one layer conversation. For example, when you say, well, yesterday I got promoted, and then GPT will be like, yay, congratulations to your
Yeah.
promotion. And then having a conversation like that, but still keeping the flow of the questions to be able to complete the entire survey.
Oh, so you have a series of predefined questions
Yes.
and you're
Yes.
using GPT to implement that with the user.
Yes.
I see. So let's say you go through based on responses, there's some back and forth. You finish the survey.
Mm-hmm.
You have all the information.
Yes.
What happens next?
Yes. So what happened next? We will use both of the text and the audio that they recorded. Through the text, we hope to, detect any signal for depression. But the
Ah, okay.
interesting is through the audio, we're trying to do emotional detection through the audio, any, concern, any symptom from that audio as well. And then compare to the text and the audio before even going to the chatbot, we also have them to go through the PSQ-9 questions, predefined question for depression. They already have the score, so we use that score and then potentially compare to our score to see if the chatbot can find anything more interesting.
What's PSQ9?
It's a set of like a survey 9 question where therapists use to screen for the depression.
And then that's the end of the process?
Yes.
Okay. And then okay, so backing up, how do you attract users to use this chatbot?
We have a team to like basically send out survey. So
Ah,
we define what kind of population do we want,
yeah,
try to be, random sample, but also like fairness into the sample. Then a lot of A/B testing design to give it to different group of users.
I see. Oh, that's interesting. I had never heard of this World Wellbeing Project. So let's talk about AI a bit and the future of AI. These are tough questions.
Yeah.
So, how do you see AI evolving in the next 5 years? And are there particular advancements or trends that you're excited about?
Yes. AI in the next 5 years. I heard a lot where people concerned about AI replace human.
Mhm.
I
What do you
don't think
think?
I I don't think it will. For
Ever? Oh,
the
wait,
one,
well, I said 5 years, so I guess I should specify. You don't think it's going to happen in the next 5 years?
yeah, in the
Okay.
next, maybe in the far future, but next 5 years, no.
Okay.
For example, someone concerned about like art, writing music, writing essay, story. I would say without a human behind, without a prompt, there's no unique in the AI. They still cannot do it on their own.
Yeah.
You you still need the human behind, an artist behind to prompt to make it to their way. So that's like a coexistence there. I don't see the replacement.
I
Um,
like that description, the artist behind the AI.
yeah, I'm the artist myself. I love art. I can't imagine there's no human behind AI in that case.
Yeah. I guess if you think about like what the purpose of art is, right?
Yeah,
If art is, I mean, this could be a separate podcast, right? But if you think about what is art, is it merely to express yourself? Is that what art is? If it is, then it's difficult to find a place for AI in that process, I
yeah.
think. But if it's not really the purpose of art, because there's other purposes of art, people sell art. I mean, you can call a lot of things art. Then maybe AI has more of a place, and it becomes a tool for the artist.
Yeah, yeah, the tool for the artist. I like it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
Talk about like the specific technology for the next 5 years. I'm very interested in AI agents recently.
yeah.
I think it's cool. I think it's a lot of like design in it. Like for example, me as a role of managers, I have multiple agents below me, and how do I give
Mm.
them tasks? How do I define their goal? How do I let them talk to each other and then get the job done. So it's a lot of like prompt engineer and then design all of the agents to get to where I need to go. So I think it's interesting. I
Yeah.
think it's getting there. We're getting there, but not not to not to like, you know, 5 years not gonna happen.
Yeah. How would you describe AI agents to someone who knows nothing about AI?
Yeah, like imagine you are a manager and then under you you have like multiple specialists. And when you want to hire a specialist, what is your requirement for that specialist? What kind of task? What kind of goal? What is the job description? And then on the specialist side, do you want a specialist to work alone or you want a specialist to work to each other? Is there a flow on the job that you need to do? For example, if I'm a customer care manager and I have some customer care specialists, do I want a one specialist to extract the information to give to another specialist to talk to customer, or I want just a solo specialist? So then that is where that is how AI agent, come in and um you are a manager and you just try to give job for like each agent. So just imagine the whole hiring process.
Is it like an employee?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Is an AI agent basic in this context, basically a digital employee?
Correct.
Okay. So you post a lot of videos where you're demoing and testing different products, different technologies. Any new tools or frameworks that you're particularly excited about?
Yeah. The new tool I'm so excited to test out, AI agents and how do we utilize AI agents to do on like a day-to-day basic task. For example, the task where we have to like pull the data from like different resources,
Yeah.
orchestrate them all together. Instead of that, can we use AI agents to make our job easier? Um, I have very interesting project. I try to use AI agent to do Kaggle
Hmm.
competition,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
It-
Maybe I can make it to a top leadership board.
It's probably going to do quite well. And then I don't know what's going to happen to Kaggle.
Yeah, I don't.
So what about this kind of data aggregator that you're talking about? What specific tool is this for pulling data from different sources? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, yeah. So they have like multiple tool for AI agents. For example, like scrap data from website, search from the website, access the database. Also, even like going to your email or your like Slack channel to like scrap the data. So there's
Oh,
like multiple tool for the AI agent to use.
what is this called? What is this tool called or platform?
Oh yeah, it's called Crew AI.
Oh,
I've been
Crew AI.
yeah
Okay, interesting.
yeah.
So you've held different types of roles, some leadership roles in the past. What strategies do you have for fostering collaboration and innovation on your team?
Yeah. Um, I like to talk about like WA the Wharton
Yes.
Analytics Fellowship, where I work with junior data scientists or like junior analysts. We love to ask questions. We love to like spark their curiosity.
Mhm.
So, for example, when we worked with Kimmel Campus Culture about their email marketing, I asked my analyst a question. If you are email marketing manager, what would you want to know using this data set? What kind of information do you want to know about your email? And then from there, you can potentially change or enhance your strategy. So guess what? The next day, he came in with the incredible EDA. So we found that the subject line, if it's less than 23 words, people are more likely to open more than 23 words. And then,
23 words in a subject line?
yeah,
Wow.
and
Yeah,
then,
that is a lot.
yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah.
And then the subject line that have exclamation mark, people will most likely not to open, or any buzzword, for example, like promotion, sales, hurry, all of the call to action word, people not likely to open. But then for the subject line that mentioned about you, for example, we know you like classical music, or the like very personalized subject, people tend to open more and drive more sales. And then we figure out that the audience of Kimmel, basically they love to get involved, they love to have personalized. Also the email, if the email is from the personal name, for example, like
Mhm.
rachel@kimmel.com, will be more likely to open than general@kimmel.com.
Oh,
So
that makes sense. Yeah.
yeah, a
Yeah.
lot of good findings. We came to the meetings, stakeholders amazed by all of the information. And then I also tell them, use all the tools you have, you all the tool you know, or you even don't know. So the next time my analysts come in, text analysis, doing like NLP and all of that, which is quite amazing to see how creative they are.
Interesting. But initially, you were able to inspire the analyst by setting the context and creating the scenario for the business.
Yes.
What kind of information would you want to see from this project as an outcome?
Right. Yeah. Get into their perspective. Don't use your engineering perspective, but then,
Right.
imagine that you are email marketing manager. What would you like to know?
Yeah, get into their perspective. I like that. Would you say that your business education helped you in this scenario where you were trying to inspire the junior analysts to get inside the perspective of the stakeholders?
Yes, definitely. Like sometime I also remind myself, because right now I'm very into, the engineering world. And sometimes I get excited about like, you know, talking about model, how complex the model is, rather than talk about their business needs.
Yeah.
And I always reminded myself to step back and be in their perspective.
Yeah, it's hard. As you know, like through WAF, um, that's a lot of what I do and my team does is we talk to the company initially just to scope the project. But a lot of it is focused on the business side. It really is. It's like, what is the project at a high level? What are the goals? What are the research questions? And then we get into the data. What's the data that you have? Technically, how are we going to access it? And then obviously we provide these completely customized analytics projects to students and faculty. But it always starts on the business side.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And like I think it's quite intimate as well. For example, if I get into a dispatcher with 50 years of experience and I tell him to use the AI, first off, I I don't want him to think that I go after his job for like his 15 years of
Right,
experience.
right.
So it's a lot of like communication and then get into the relationship with them as well.
Yeah. We've talked a lot about work. Tell me about work-life balance for you. How do you manage work-life balance? Is this something that's intentional? For some people, it's very intentional. I'm going to turn off at 5 o'clock. I'm going to turn back on at 9 a.m. the next morning. For others, it's not intentional. For others, they have no work-life balance. And then for others, it's kind of organic. Like, I'm just going to go do something else now. Like, how does it work for you?
I would say mine was intentional because I used to be the person that I have no boundaries.
Yeah.
I bring work to home and I can work until like midnight to figure out what's going on there. Mostly just my curiosity.
Yeah.
Like, hey, what if I'm trying this? I'm trying that. I want to see this result and I can't wait for the next day.
Yeah.
But then now I just want to set the boundary. When I get off from work, everything can live behind, everything can wait to the next day. Going home, enjoy my time with my family, and then spark my curiosity on something different, like AI agent, currently learning self-taught, and then all of the AI tools that I think it will be very helpful to know, very useful to know.
Yeah. So it sounds like the way you manage it is you have other interests outside of work, even though there is overlap, right? So you're focusing on, teaching yourself how to create AI agents and other types of models and technologies, but it's not work. So you're able to then just kind of switch your attention to these other projects.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
That's why I create YouTube tutorial or
Yep.
demo. Is another way to learn, to confirm my knowledge, and to get people feedback as well. Like, is there anything I need to improve my skills?
Yeah. What kind of advice would you give to someone aspiring to enter the data science field, AI field? And also, are there any specific skills, resources, or learning paths that you would recommend?
Yes, I get this secret from another alumni, and now I'm gonna pass it to you or to junior data scientists. Get yourself out there, put your put your personal brand name out there. Try to do, for example, like write tutorial, get
Mhm.
into medium toward data science, put your work out there, put on a LinkedIn, GitHub, have a YouTube channel, do tutorial, teaching. Teaching and sharing is a great way to learn, and also to advertise your personal branding. Even with this tough market, the more that you put out there, the more that you will see the result. People start reaching out to you rather than you reaching out to them. So go there, talk to different people, reach out to us, Penn alumni. We really like. I reach out to almost every Penn alumni that I reach out, I just say, "Hey, I'm from Penn," you know,
Yeah.
got the help that I need. So put yourself out there. Don't be afraid. Um, yeah, you will do great.
Another great catchphrase from you during this podcast is teaching is learning.
Yeah, I'm still TA with MCIT program.
Oh, you are?
I, I love doing it. I've been with MCIT program for almost 2 years now. Still learning.
Which courses are you TA for?
I'm TA for CIT 545 Big Data.
Oh, big data. Would you also say that working on side projects it would could benefit folks who are looking to get into this industry just to get more experience?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Write the tutorial. Like I mentor 545 projects, and I encourage them to post on like Medium toward data science. Get accepted there, write the tutorial, be a team learning together.
Yeah. Oh, what about specific courses, online courses? Are there specific technical resources that you can recommend for this?
Yeah, I uh I self-taught through Coursera a lot of my very first machine learning is from Professor Andrew Ng, very, very standard
Oh, yeah.
learning about like machine learning. And then all the open coursework, you know, Penn from MIT, Stanford. Just get yourself out there and then explore more.
Mm, great. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Thank you. My pleasure. I hope
All
you
right.
have a great weekend.
You too.